वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. In the very thought-provoking portion, right at the beginning of chapter 6, Sri Krishna talked about a phase in the life of every one of us where we do not have adequate viveka and vairagya, as a result of which nishkama karma is the prescription. Arurukshor muner yogam karma. Karma karanam sadhanam uchyate. And for a very small number of people among us, maybe less than 1%, in whose case Viveka and Vairagya are of a high order, Sannyasa is the way. He is the way ahead. He is the way to go. Yoga arudasya tasya eva. Same people who at one time were not eligible, to them only it is said, Shama karana muchyate. Shamaha here means withdrawal from action. There is a time to act, there is a time to withdraw. And this is a very fascinating portion where you and I need to gain total clarity. But who is a yoga aruda? Who is that person who has reached that higher eligibility? That was the shloka we saw last. Yada hinendriyarteshu na karmasu anushajyate. Neither in sense objects, the pursuit of pleasure and related things, nor in activity. A whole lot of people who even go to Himalayas have too much of urge to do things, build some things, take another project, maybe spiritual, but they have confessed in private conversations that they cannot sit quietly. They sometimes become famous. Sometimes they set up great institutions for which the society is so grateful to them. They travel all over the world. They write books. They release videos. These days they come on Instagram. That is the latest now. So, but ask them privately if you get a chance. They confess, my problem is I cannot sit quietly, and so on. Sri Krishna smiles and says, therefore I added this expression, na karmasu anushajyate. But we should not guide others. We should not guide, we should not judge others. We should not think, look at him, he is so restless. Look at her, she cannot sit quietly. Look at them, they are so extrovert. No. Better to look at ourselves. Are we restless, or is it God's will that we are again and again drawn to some activity? If it is God's will, that's a very different story. Anyway, interestingly, there are three things mentioned in the verse we completed. One is no indulgence in sense pleasures. Second is no getting into more and more activity, which could sometimes be just talking also. Some of us are very talkative, or some of us are into writing. We want to write every day. Therefore, we publish so many books, and it gives us a peculiar pleasure seeing so many books in our name. So, karma means vachika karma, manasa karma, and kayika karma. The third thing is going to the root of the matters. Sri Krishna says, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi. You have to let go of that Shobhana Adhyasa. You are going to a pravachan to listen to some Mahatma. On the way, sitting in your car, yourself are driving or somebody is driving, you are going, you look left, you look right, your eyes fall upon a hoarding, a new movie has come in the theaters, or your eyes fall upon a showroom, some new car models are displayed, your eyes fall upon an ice cream parlor. Oh, it's quite a long time since family and I came to an ice cream parlor. Tomorrow is Saturday, why not? So, before even you plan to go, the sight of the ice cream arouses in you a sense of, how nice it would be. That is Shobhanadhyasa. Once there is a sense of how nice it is, how delicious it would be, that a mind be painting a picture of happiness in the ice cream, in the new car, in the movie, etc., is that Shobhanadhya. So that is called Sankalpa. Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi. And we are never tired of saying that by mere willpower you cannot let go of Sankalpa. You need to do vichara, inquiry. You need to do upasana. You need to practice sitting quietly. And as a prelude to that, forerunner to that, you need to serve people, be kind to people, or if not be kind, at least withdraw from being harsh, dominating, and bossing over, etc. Withdraw from that. Then you will be able to sit quietly. And so on. There's a whole lot of psychology which is taken up, and Sri Krishna throws light on it. So let me read the last sentence of the Shankara Bhāshya on this verse, where Sri Krishna, rather Sri Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Tasmat, Tasmat Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi iti Vachanat, Sarvan Kaman, Sarvani Karmani cha Tyajayati Bhagavan. Bhagavan makes us let go of kama and karma. Then we are yoga ruda. Then we are very well prepared for meditation. In this world, meditation has become a buzzword. Everybody wants to learn meditation. Really speaking, true meditation that can set you free is possible only if you have evolved through nishkama karma. Otherwise, meditation will give some benefits, even some health benefits, some passing peace of mind. But deep inside you, you will remain bound. So we do not advise against meditation. There are so many forms of meditation, organizations that teach meditation right away on the first day. And meditation is their main program. Sit down, meditate, and so on. There are some Mahatmas also who have issued statements. Swami Nityananda, not Nitya, yes, Swami Nityananda of Ganeshpuri, Vajreshwari in Bombay. In one of his statements, he said, there is no need to do anything else, just meditate. That is the royal path to realization. So many students of Vedanta get a little disturbed and distracted. Oh, really? Then our study, our Shastra Dhyayana, perhaps is a waste of time. There is no end to this. And partly some of them are tired of the difficulty in study. So they find these such statements of Mahatmas a nice escape. So how students celebrate if a professor tells them, today I won't be taking class, okay, I have a little headache. The students in the corridor who are so unwilling to go into the classroom, when they get the news, their celebration, they rush to the cafeteria. You know, once I was a teacher at a college. I went to the class, but I was not feeling so well. I said, do you mind if I don't take the class today? And one tall, handsome, like a cinema actor he was, one student I had, he said to me, sir, take it easy. We are all with you. Relax, sir. The way he said to me, I got a bit annoyed. If you talk like that, I'm going to do the class now. Anyway, I left the class and they were all very happy, which should not be the case really. So, when some Mahatma says, you don't have to study, you don't have to do anything else, just meditate. The human mind, which has some escapist tendencies, will sometimes celebrate. Very good. But the problem is when they actually sit down to meditate, they will not reach anywhere. So, Tyajayet, Kaman, Karmanicha, Tyajayet. He makes us out of a deep understanding. We are to let go of our urge to acquire, urge to enjoy, urge to indulge, because the Vishaya Sakta Manaha, the mind attached to sense objects, always makes a case for a little enjoyment once in a while and so on. First, once I will take a break from sadhana and enjoy this or enjoy that, it says. Tyajayati. Bhagavan says, well, you are free to do anything, but mind you, if you want to rise fast on the scale of consciousness, you cannot in this way take a break. Incidentally, I saw several places in Bangalore and some other place also. In several cities, restaurants have opened with the name Take a Break. Take a break is the name of even restaurants nowadays. Anyway, I would once more say the first four verses themselves are rich food for thought. They give us clarity. They throw light on the whole of our life. Otherwise, any teaching on meditation compartmentalizes meditation, as though meditation is not connected with the way you live rest of the time. Actually, meditation will be successful only if the other hours of your day's life or life during the day are spent in a rather disciplined way. No indulgence, no selfishness, no exploitation, no fear, no lust, no greed. If the 23 hours, in a manner of saying, of the day are very dharmic, then the 1 hour of meditation will go to greater heights. All this is easier said than done. Who can help us do it? The next verse is perhaps one of the verses much quoted on many platforms from the Bhagavad Geetā, and a very popular verse, easy to understand. You may share the wisdom of this fifth verse even with high school students. The fifth verse goes, Uddharedātmanātmānam nātmānam avasādayet Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu Atmaiva ripuratmanaha. But before that, Adi Shankara says, Yada evam yoga rudaha tada tena atma udhrito bhavati. Our life is truly uplifted. We are uplifted. Udhrita means taken upwards, whereas avasadita means pulled down. We have an option to rise, to lift ourselves or to fall, to pull ourselves down. Kada vayam udritaha bhavamaha. Yada vayam yogarudaha bhavema. Then uddhara takes place. Sansarat anartha jatat. Rising or lifting from where? What is that lower ground from which we rise? Sansara. And that is anartha jata. The word jata here means category. A whole group of, a whole set of various evils. Anartha jatat, anartha vargat, anartha samudayat, sansara. That is sansara. So the shloka now says everybody has to uplift himself or herself. Here don't take the meaning Sachidananda for the word Atma in this shloka. The word Atma, you see, has meanings on different levels. So at the highest level, yes, it is the pure existence consciousness. But in this context, it is in the simple sense of oneself. One should lift oneself by oneself. So what is meant by lifting oneself? Lifting one's, Shankara uses the word Karya Karana Sanghata. Karya is the physical body and Karana is the inner instruments like mind, intellect and so on. Antakarana. So this personality, it is the personality which does noble things and lifts itself. So the one who lifts and the one that is lifted are both personalities here. Then where does the pure self stand in this picture? The pure self doesn't require uddhara. Vedanta makes it clear. The pure self is Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta, and so on. It's ever free. But in our mind, there is a notion, I am bound. We are not really bound, but as long as there is a notion. So it's a puzzle, it's kind of a mystery. How the pure self that we ever are, look at ourselves, or the pure self, seems to be bound. How did this error come about? Ask, and more than asking how this error came about, you better ask, is there really bondage? Rather than why I am bound, ask who am I? Ask a deeper question. Thus, it is rightly said, even by popular spiritual teachers like Deepak Chopra, who said at a certain place, who am I is the biggest question of spirituality. Perhaps he himself said at another place, this is the $1,000,000 question. Who am I is the $1,000,000 question. Uddhared Atmana Atmanam. Therefore, don't bring pure self here. Take the word self in a very simple sense. Lift yourself by yourself. So don't bring Atma, Brahma, Sachidananda, Chaitanya, Chinmatra, Sangoham. That is all where you arrive. But presently, help yourself. God helps those who help themselves. It's a popular saying. There was somebody who was very miserable, depressed, desolate, and he went to some well-known counselor. And the counselor said, I am not a person who can help you. The person who can help you is in the inside room. Go there. And the man went into the inside room, wondering, oh, is there another counselor? Normally, this man comes alone. This time, has he brought another counselor? He goes to that room and all he finds is a tall mirror. He stands before that mirror. And in the mirror, he sees himself. Then it becomes clear to him. Don't simply go from this counselor to that counselor, this guru to that guru. They have all given you enough advice. Now if there is anybody who can help you, it is you yourself. Atmana atmanam uddharet, na atmanam avasadayet. Leave aside possibilities of you are letting somebody down, disappointing X, and doing some disservice to Y. Leave aside all ideas of deceiving somebody, not rising to the expectations of somebody. My mother is unhappy with me. My father is so disappointed with me. Okay, they are all old stories. First, take care. You should not let yourself down. You should not disappoint yourself. In your privacy, when nobody is asking you either to eat the rasgulla or not to eat it. Nobody. No father, no mother. Suppose somebody asks you to do something you don't do, they will be disappointed. Here, nobody is asking you either to do something or not to do something. It is you who choose. Though you have had adequate rest, you choose to lie on the bed for some more hours. Though you have many things to do, you turn the television on and would like to know what is the latest news on some sports or politics or something. So many times in a day, nobody is behind you, nobody is even watching you, but you involve in some action which your own conscience does not approve. That is called Atmanam Avasadayet. Na Avasadayet. Atmanaha Avasadana. Bringing oneself down, pulling oneself down. Why? The second part of the shloka says, all said and done, it's not parents, it's not friends, it's not your company, it's not the place, it's not the time that are adverse to you, that are your enemies. You are your worst enemy. And if you behave properly, you yourself become your best friend. Atma eva atmanaha bandhuhu. So in all these, Atma should be taken in a very general sense of oneself. I am responsible for what has happened in my life. When you say that I doesn't represent the pure I of the Vedanta. Very simple language. You are your own best friend, Bandhuhu. You are your own worst enemy. Thus it is said, one must be one's best supporter. Shankara makes matters clearer. Uddharet, he gives simple Sanskrit explanation. Sansara sagare nimagnam atmanam, you presently are drowning in the ocean of worldly existence. Because everybody bought new dress, you also wanted new dress. Because everybody bought a new car, you also thought of buying a new car. You have become so conditioned and influenced by this mad, mad world. Somebody in Mumbai was asked the other day, why did you marry? And that young man gave an unusual answer. What else to do? Is that an answer? Of course, that boy was very mischievous. He was known for giving mischievous answers. What else to do? So everybody married, he also married. That kind of scenario, which may not be the truth actually, but he said something like that. So Shankara says, people simply like sheep follow others blindly. You have read in the Upanishads, Andhena niyamana iva andhaha. Blind leading the blind. That's the scenario. So Shankara says, such a person drowning in the ocean of worldly existence has to be lifted. Uddharet, he explains. Ut means urdhvam. I am reading from the Bhashya. Ut urdhvam. Haret, pull, take yourself upwards. And Adi Shankara's sense of context is amazing. Rather than going in his own tangential direction, he connects it immediately with the previous context. We talked about Arurukshu and Aruda, Yogaruda. So Uddharet here means Yogarudatam apadayet. You must give yourself the promotion which has been long due, promotion to the level of Yogaruda. It's in your hands to stop being an Arurukshu, somebody who is eager to mount the steed of Vairagya. It's high time you arrive at Yoga Aruda. Don't stay at the lower level. Start your sadhana towards it today at this moment. Na atmanam avasadayet. And Shankara gives simpler words. Avasadayet, not all may know. Adaha na gamayet. All of us know the famous Veda mantra from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Asatoma sadgamaya. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma amritam gamaya. You may add one more line. From Adaha urdvam gamaya. Urdvam gamaya. Just as jyotirgamaya, amritam gamaya, sadgamaya were said in that. This says urdvam gamaya. Lead yourself. There it's a prayer to some higher power, God. Here it's a suggestion to oneself. Let me now lead myself upwards. Out of foolish behavior, wrong choices, all my life I have pulled myself down. I am responsible for the degradation I have suffered in life. Now I will not degrade myself anymore. I will upgrade myself. Urdhvam gamayami swatmanam. Adaha na gamayami, na gamaishyami. I won't let me go further down. Why? Atmayava hi. The Upanishad, the mantra, Geetā Shloka has the word he. Atmayava hi, Atmano bandhu. He, in a lot of contexts, stands for because. Shankara gives the synonym. He here stands for yasmat. Because we are asking you to lift yourself because more than anyone else, you are your best friend. When you need some help, you reach out to your best friend, not to some stranger. Like that here too, for your own uplift, approach your best friend, and that is you yourself. Like the wise counselor sent the young man to the inside room, where the young man saw himself in the tall mirror. You are your own best friend. Take his help. Nahi anyah kaschit bandhuhu yaha samsara muktaye bhavati. In worldly matters, somebody may help. You badly need some money and you ask someone, can you lend me just 15,000 rupees? I'll give it back within a month. And that person gives. A friend in need is friend indeed. And it can make a big difference to you. We hear that when Narayana Murthy and a couple of his friends wanted to start the company now famous as Infosys. They were working for some IT company already. They were all engineers in a certain IT company in Bangalore, had gained some experience. Then they thought of starting their own company. At that time, every rupee was so strong. They needed some 10,000 rupees and they did not have 10,000 rupees of money to spare. And Narayan Murthy's wife, Sudha Murthy, who is another celebrity now, with a lot of talent, a lot of motivational speeches, and above all, the kind of charity she has been doing, the support she has been giving to noble causes. She has been rebuilding institutions, renovating temples, and renovating maybe a water tank meaning a huge lake in some town, some village. She goes to some place and she says, why is this talab, that lake? Why is this pond in such bad shape? The villagers say, well, we asked the government to do, somehow it has not been done immediately. She has a team. The team studies the whole matter. A file is prepared. Then crores and crores, all over India and maybe a little abroad also. There. So this lady, Sudha Kulkarni, before marriage, who was an engineer with the Tata company, that's another story, let me not go into it. She lends, as Sudha Murthy, she lends 10,000 rupees to her husband and the friends. Then Infosys is started. So Shankara also admits many a time it could be a friend, it could be spouse, it could be a neighbor. But Sansara Muktaye, in the context of liberation from all ignorance, the spiritual release, for that the only friend is you yourself. What about relatives and other friends? Shankara says, Bandhurapi tavat moksham prati pratikula eva. The other relatives who might be otherwise very good, you know, when it comes to liberation, they are not friends. They are adversaries. They actually make matters difficult for you. Shankara is very blunt here. He calls a spade a spade. Moksham prati na anukulaha अन्यः बन्धुः मोक्षं प्रति मोक्षविषये प्रतिकूलः. He is opposite of being helpful. You may wonder why, what is wrong? My brother-in-law is such a good person and my cousin is such a nice man. My another cousin is such a wonderful woman. Shankara says, you know what? Since all of them are Arurukshus or even below the Arurukshu, they may be helping you finance-wise and many other things. But in the matter of liberation, unintentionally, they actually cause an obstacle because none of them is giving unconditional love. All their love is conditional. We help you today, you must help me tomorrow. We take you to a movie today, tomorrow you must take me to a movie. We give you this pleasure, you must give that pleasure. So the whole domain, the whole context is pursuit of pleasure, pursuit of power, pursuit of position. That is where they help you, and that is where they expect you to help them. That is called sneha. Sneha adi bandhana ayatanatvat. That is why when you get true vairagya, you actually wish to spare yourself from so many social engagements, because on the surface social engagements may be good, but the mindset of a lot of people, almost all people who come to the social get-together, etc., is something to do with money and pleasure and so on. Even as they speak sweetly, even as they talk very nicely, even as they say, we will help you, you can watch and you can look into their eyes. Their eyes have a different story. We are wondering in what way you can be helpful to us somewhere, everywhere. You know. I saw one movie long back in which there is a humorous character and young fellow. He perhaps was in UK or USA for a couple of years or 5 or 6 years. He has just come back to Bombay. And in Bombay, he wants to start a business. And the movie shows a social get together, a party. And that humorous character, without going long on it, the humorous character very enthusiastically tries to meet everybody who has come to the party. He is practically flying from this corner of the hall to that corner and He is in such a hurry. Very well acted by whoever the actor was. And all he does is he goes and greets everybody and says, "Wonderful to meet you." Then he pulls out a visiting card of his and gives to that person. And the way he has acted, his eyes, his face show that through this party, now I will have many people who will give me business. So that represents the mindset of the bandhus. We're not blaming them, but they are at that level of consciousness. Their level is that. What can you do? So Shankara is ruthless. Snehadi bandhana ayatanatva. In this world, you cannot find relatives and friends who actually are truly willing to or wanting to give. Mostly all of them, even if on the surface they give, they themselves are in need. What can I get from him? What can I get from her? Is the question in their mind, not what can I give, etc. Therefore, they are here to take. Once more, we don't blame them. We also maybe even now are a little like that, and at a time in our life, we also were much more like that, much more like that. Therefore, friendships are based on how much wealth the person has, how much influence some person has, what he can do for us. Tasmad yuktam avadharanam. The emphasis on don't think your relatives and friends and social contacts will speed up your liberation. The earlier you detach yourself from them, earlier you keep a distance from them, earlier you are extremely careful before making promises, the better for you. Atmayavahi Atmano Bandhu. Really, in the matter of liberation, you are your best friend. Don't give your visiting card to everybody, trying to get them to your network. Rather, go to your prayer room, sit and build your relation with yourself. Build a stronger bond with the inner self. There is in you an inner self which wants to rise spiritually. These relatives, these friends, these coated, booted, suited people in the party showing a very radiant face, just showing. They are inside empty. They are inside vacant. There's a vacuum in them. So some have wealth, some have good looks, some have some other talent. All of them seem to shine. They rob the limelight of the evening. Everybody envies them. But if you go close to them, they are so empty inside. They are so empty, and today you praise, they will be so happy. For some reason, tomorrow you criticize them, they will be so angry because they live on praise, they live on financial returns. They are not independent of these worldly factors. Therefore, Shankara says once more, Yaha anyaha apakari bahyaha shatruhu. Gita has one more line, Atma eva atmanaha shatruhu. In that context, Shankara says, you are yourself your worst enemy too, because the outer enemies, in the world there are always enemies for us. Enemies means those who criticize us, those who don't like us to rise in any manner. So how do you say you are a worse enemy than the outer enemies? Shankara says, you see, the outer enemy has become an enemy to you because of your own ways of handling things. You have behaved immaturely, and therefore many have turned your enemies. Therefore, because you created that scenario where people who used to be good to you have all turned against you, don't blame them, blame yourself. You behaving immaturely created critics. If you had behaved maturely, maybe they would not praise you, but they would not criticize you also. In true detachment, you are neither wanted by anybody nor hated by people, just leave you aside. If there are people who have become enemies, it is you who have contribute towards that. That's the meaning of the word Atma Prayuktaha Eva. Atma Prayukta means created by you. It's self-created. You did something, you gossiped behind their backs, and they came to know. They found out that you are talking ill of them. Then they don't like you. So do you blame them or do you blame yourself for gossiping? You gossiped against them. That is the fact. Therefore, the ball is back at your court. Therefore, avadharana atmaiva ripuhu iti. See how Shankaracharya, who does a splendid job of Brahma Vichara, also makes valuable remarks in the context of human relationships in the world. Our enemies are created by us only. Our friends are also created by us only. Therefore, it all begins in us. If we are truly peaceful, we will not gossip against somebody without there being a true need. But if we are lacking in peace, we are restless, then it gives us a false security to gossip against somebody. By calling somebody useless, we think we are useful, but it doesn't work like that. And Gita itself elaborates, connecting the next shloka. Sri Shankaracharya says, Atmaiva bandhuhu, Atmaiva ripuhu, iti uktam. Of course, it is said. Tatra kim lakshanaha atma, atmano bandhuhu. Which kind of oneself becomes friend of oneself? Kim lakshano va atma, atmano ripuhu. Which kind of one's own personality becomes the best friend of one's own personality? In other words, simpler language, when do you become your own friend? And when do you become your own enemy? Thus, this also is a much quoted shloka. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. A short commentary follows by Adi Shankara, but the direct meaning is, suppose you have better control over your emotions, your urges, your tendencies. Suppose you have gained a certain amount of control on your habitual tendencies, because habit is rooted in the past. Today you have gained some wisdom, but old habits raise their ugly head many a time. If you have good control over your old habits, that is the meaning of yena atmana atma jitaha. Then atmanaha bandhuhu bhavati. And anatmanastu. Once more, the word anatma here doesn't have much to do with the atma anatma in the higher Vedanta vichara. Anatma is someone who has become an enemy to himself, someone who is not lifting oneself. Such a person is anatma. Anatmanastu, for somebody who doesn't do better self-management, then he himself becomes his own worst enemy. So Anatma Shabda, Shankaracharya flatly gives the synonym in a very different way than in the Vedanta works. I'll come to that, or now itself I may mention. You take a look at the word Anatmanaha in Shankara Bhāshya. Anatmanaha means Ajitatmanaha. Jitatma means one who has good self-control. One who has no self-control, as I said before, one who just goes by old habit. One had a habit of gossiping. After all, with Vedanta also one gossips, let us say. Then that person is, in first place, Ajitatma, no self-control, no control on his tongue. And such Ajitatma becomes Anatma in this new vocabulary. The word anatma gets a very different meaning here, whereas in a whole lot of prakarana granthas, atma is chaitanya, anatma is body. Atma is drashta, anatma is drishya. Atma is avyaya, anatma is vyaya, that is savyaya, changing. Atma is all pervasive, anatma is limited. That a very long table is given. There it is the pure self versus what is not self. Here the meaning is totally different, justifiable in its own way. Anatma here is somebody lacking in self-control. After all said and done, after hearing all pravachans, the man goes and does the same thing which he did, which the wrong thing which he did for last 10, 20, 30 or 40 years. Again he does the same thing. Then he is an anatma. Shankara says, Bandhuhu Atma, Atmanaha Tasya, that is words from the shloka. Tasya Atmanaha Saha Atma Bandhuhu Yena Atma Eva Atmana Jitaha. So the one word to be highlighted is Jitaha. If today you manage your tendencies better than how you did yesterday, all of us get number of opportunities every day. I don't mind saying, even we speakers, while giving a discourse, suddenly get a thought of talking about somebody. Oh, this Chandar Agarwal in Hyderabad, he went through a divorce recently, and that's all because of his short temper. So some Chandar Agarwal ka now. There's nobody like that, by the way. I remember an actual case. I feel like saying it, but on a lecture that's going on YouTube to people in different parts of the world, if I become a wide mouth and tell everybody what Chandar Agarwal, suffered recently, etc., then where is any control? We may get a thought and then we hold, oh, this is not for, as they say, public consumption. First of all, Chandar, Mr. Agarwal, last week told me, this, please keep this to yourself. Don't tell anybody. And I made a small mistake. I didn't tell anybody. I told my laptop actually. I just, was telling my own video and audio camera and mic of the laptop. What can I do if the hundreds of people heard that on YouTube? I think the technology is at fault. Can I say that? Don't say technology is my enemy. The enemy is my own inability to withhold confidential matters, things that are not for public consumption. In this way, if we don't manage our habits, we keep doing whatever we have been doing, we will keep getting whatever we have been getting. More and more people will turn negative towards us, and what is more, our meditation, our japa, our puja, all of them will not have the desirable quality. Shankara here says, Atma is Karyakarana Sangata. I use the word personality, and Shankara says Karyakarana Sangata, this assemblage of physical body, Indriyas, Manas, Buddhi, this whole bunch of things is Atma here, not the Shuddha Chaitanya Rupa Atma. Yena Vashikrita, if anybody has gained control over his tongue, his other sense organs, then Jitendriya is. Anatmanastu, Ajitatmanastu, somebody who has no self-control, everything turns into an enemy. Everybody. Yatha anatma shatruhu atmanaha apakari tata atma atmanaha apakare varteta ityartaha. So then one is doing things which hurt oneself. Therefore, with a lot of common sense, with a lot of day-to-day implications, these two shlokas have really become very popular. Motivational talks, talks for youngsters, all can be based on such shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, which are many. In Bhagavad Gita, there are probably some 200 to 300 shlokas, which come very handy in dealing with human values, human relationships, success, doing well in work that we take up, and all such things. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.